Well, another way of selecting an element is what you call the class selector. So CSS class selectors are used to select elements based on their class attribute. And class selectors are written using a period followed by the class name. And we can select multiple elements with different class name, and then we can separate them with space. So let me show you how you can do that. Well, with the same project here, because I want to keep track of everything I'm teaching here, I want to copy the whole of this project again, and I want to rename it to say, I want to rename this one to say class selector. The first one is called the element selector. So rename this one to lesson number 2 under selectors, under simple selectors called class selectors. So I need to open this one instead. So right click, open with live server. So I think it has opened here. So let me put it here. And now I want to change the name to say class selector. Yes, it has shown here perfect. So, and then let me remove the CSS also because we want to start from scratch because it is element selector. So remove that and change this one to class selector. So how can we style using the class selector? And that is what we are going to talk about. Well, it's pretty simple. So what it means is that the element name that we want to style, we want to give it a class attribute. So let's say that the same how to learn CSS, I want to style it using a class attribute. So inside the opening tag, I'm going to provide a class attribute like that, and I'm going to give it a value. The value will be anything, the way I want to name my value. Okay, so let me say this one is going to title. So this title represents this particular tag here. So now inside my CSS, how can I style it? So the key note here to bear in mind is that to style a class selector, we need to use period, that is dot, and the name of the class name, title, and then your curly braces as before. And next is you can write your CSS inside. So here I have my class called title, and I'm selecting it using period dot title. So the same thing, color is equal to red as before. Now I have red. I can also add a class to this one tutorial. So class, let's give this one as description, DSC for short, for description. So how can I select it? Use dot DSC and then give it a background color as before, as black, and then text on it. The text on it is going to be color is going to be white, and then have a padding around my border going to be as 10 pixels when I save it as before. So you can pause this video and add custom class name to it and style it. Pause the video and then try your luck. All right. Well, let me solve it, or let's solve it together. If you get it, that is fine. So here on my div, I can give it a class of say description 2. The name must be descriptive. Let me say details. Anything you want to give it by, the class name must be descriptive. So let's say details here. I'll come up here, dot details here, and then my curly braces, background color of green as before, and then the color on it also white, and then padding as before as 10 pixels. You see that I have it. But let's say that if you are trying to target a class that does not exist in your code. Now this is details, right? Assuming I change this one to details, something like this, you see that it doesn't affect that. So you need to take note about how you are selecting your element, and your naming convention is really crucial. You see that we have two now. We've got two ways of selecting an element. That is the Element selector as before, this one, and now class selector. The next video, let's have a look at another way of selecting an element, which is called